Hey, this is my final walk to moon video. Woohoo! We are done after this video. Um, Once again, still having issues with my camera, so I'm doing this via Google Meet and then uploading it to YouTube. Hope that doesn't affect any of you. We are on page 20 of our packet. 40 through 44 vocab. So, vocabulary. Synonyms are words with similar meanings. Of course, we know that. Draw a line from each word in column A to column B, and then use the word in 1 through 6 below. I hate drawing the lines, so I wrote the letters. A or 1 in column A, bountiful goes with abundant, B. 2, legitimate goes with E, rightful. 3, hankering goes with A, longing. 4, grotesque goes with F, mishappen. 5, lecture goes with D, scolding. And 6, herd goes with gather. So 1 goes with B, 2, E, 3, A, 4, F, 5, D, and 6, C. Sorry, I'm turning down my background TV. And then 1 through 6 below, I'm just going to read the word as I go. Onlookers were speechless as they stared at the grotesque remains of the vehicle that had been in a highway accident. 2. The police officer gave the teenagers a strict lecture about the penalties if they were caught driving before they had a license. 3. The young woman presented her birth certificate showing that she was her mother's legitimate heir. 4. The sheepdog was trained to herd the animals so they would not stray from the flock. 5. Every summer I have a hankering for fresh fruit picked right off the tree. And 6. The bountiful waters of Lake Corladine stretched as far as the eye could see. So that was our last vocab page. Woohoo, we're done. Now on to our last section of literacy devices. Page 21. So personification. We've definitely learned about personification this year. Personification is a device in literature in which an author grants lifelike or human-like qualities to non-living objects. So the example is wet with dew, straggly branches slapped and scratched at my legs and hid under uneven ground so that I tripped several times. What is being personified? Obviously the branches, because branches can't really scratch you in human like qualities. They don't hide purposely, that's just how they grow. So the branches are being personified here. How does this language intensify the mood as Sal descends the hill? I just think it shows how like serious the moment is. Like she's not like, oh, the branches were hurting me. No, they were slapping her, they were scratching her, they're hiding from her so she trips. It just really makes it intense. Then the second literary device, simile, when to what is being compared in the following simile. We know what a simile is, compared using like or as. The bus lay on its side like an old sick horse, its headlights staring out mournfully into the surrounded trees. So a broke down bus is being compared to a sick horse. Why is this an appropriate comparison? I think because neither can move. If I have a broke down bus on its side, guess what? It's not moving. If a horse is laying on its side, it's going to need help to get back up. So they're both just kind of there. They're just part of their surroundings and needing help. They can't move on their own. So that's what I said for that. Literacy devices are done. Woohoo! And we are moving on to page 22. There were a lot of review questions, obviously, because there's so much that happened. As always, my answers are over here, so I'm going to be going back and forth. What surprising discovery do Phoebe and Sal make about the secret messages? Phoebe and Sal learn that the secret messages were left by Mrs. Partridge as a surprise for their family. They were meant as a good thing. She saw them like fortune cookies. So yeah, I thought that was a good one. How does the story about Phoebe end for her family? In the end, Phoebe and the rest of her family gradually adjust to having Mike as another member of the family. So eventually it's like a happy ending. 3. As Sal sits in the hospital waiting room, what does she conclude about the guilt Gramps may have felt about neglecting Gramps' illness and her own guilt about her mother's stillborn baby? So, obviously, this is like a big question in one. Sal comes to realize that these feelings of guilt are foolish. The only way to avoid possibility of tragedy is to avoid life altogether. I love that answer. Um, Guilt is inevitable. It's just something you're automatically going to feel. If you never want to feel guilty, then you should never ever do anything. And never ever doing anything means you'd have no life. And obviously, just none of that would make sense. Why does Gramps give uh what reason does Gramps give when he hands Sal the car keys? What is the real reason behind this gesture? What does Sal do with the keys? This is a big one. Gramps tells Sal that she can unlock the car to get anything she might need. Oh, you might need your sweater. Go get it. But he is really giving her the keys so she can drive to Lewiston, and obviously Sal uses the keys to start the car and drive away. Dun 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 dun. 5. Describe what happens at the Overlook. Why does Sal need to visit the wreckage? At the Overlook, Sal sees the wreckage of the bus and goes down to look at it. She visits the wreckage because her mother was killed there in the bus crash. A sheriff drives her to her mother's grave in a cemetery in Lewiston. When she sees the tombstone with her mother's name and the engraving of the sugar maple tree, she finally realized that her mother's not going to come back. So that was a big, big moment. Number 6, who helps Sal complete her journey? Mrs. Cadaver the sheriff helps her all the way. I don't know what I just said about Mrs. Cadaver. The sheriff is I should have put 5 and 6 together because I already answered it in this. So she sees the wreckage, she has to go there, but then the sheriff drives Sal all the way to her mother's grave to see it, to see her mother, to realize she's not coming back. So the sheriff helps her finish the journey, and she realizes when she sees the maple. I already answered this. I don't know why I went through all my answers, but I'm just gonna answer them again. 7. At what point does Sal realize her mother's not coming back? And she realizes her mother's not coming back when she sees the tombstone with her mother's name and the engraving of the sugar maple tree. And lastly, number 8, the last review question. Yay! What connection is there between Mrs. Cadaver and Sal's mother? How does this help explain Mr. Hiddle's interest in Mrs. Cadaver? So, Mrs. Cadaver and Sal's mom sat beside each other on the bus. In their conversation, Mrs. Cadaver learned all about Sal and the farm and Sal's father. Mrs. Cadaver was the only survivor from the bus accident. So, Mr. Hiddle wanted to get to know Mrs. Cadaver because she had been with his wife when she died. So he just wanted to feel close to Mrs. Cadaver because she was the last person with Sal's mother before she died. And that is it. That is your last review question. Then you had 3 more writing activities, 10, 11, and then 12 was on the back. So, 10. Were you surprised when you learned the real reason for Sal's journey? How was this foreshadowed in chapter 1 and 2? I was not personally surprised by this journey because I've already read the book. So I totally knew it was going to happen. And I definitely think the author did a good job foreshadowing, talking about how she knew she couldn't come home and all that. I don't know. I'm excited to read your guys' number 10. Why do you think Gramps insisted on making so many stops on the way to Lewiston? This is one of my more favorite writing activities. I'm excited to see what you guys say. I think Gramps insisted on making so many stops because I think deep down he knew this was going to be Graham's last trip. I think he wanted Graham to live through her daughter, who obviously she missed, and because they knew she had passed away. And Sal knew too, she just didn't believe it. But so I think Gramps just knew this was going to be Graham's last trip to go out there to see things, and he wanted to fulfill everything he could for Graham's before she obviously passed away. And then page 23, the last page. So, the author's messages or important ideas conveyed in a book are called a theme. And we've talked about theme this year. In Walk Two Moons, two central themes emerge: recognition and acceptance. Discuss how these ideas are interwoven into grateful surprises that Mrs. Partridge leaves on the porch. So, there were like five different lovely themes on recognition and acceptance. So, one, don't judge a man until you've walked 2 moons in his moccasin. Everyone has his own agenda. In the course of a lifetime, what does it matter? You can't keep the birds of sadness from flying over your head, but you can keep them from nesting in your hair. And lastly, we never know the worth of water until the well is dry. So, writing activities 12, you had to select one of the five things above and apply it to a situation in your life, or life of someone you know, and describe the situation and tell how that's related. So, you could have done it on the Google Doc, or you could have written on this paper, whatever. So, I was thinking, number five, you never know the worth of water until the well is dry. And I just think that is so relevant in our lives right now, because school is my stinking well. School is my favorite hobby. Seeing all of you is my everything, my favorite thing to do. I look forward to Monday through Friday because I love it. And now my well is dry. I can't go to school anymore. So, like, even though I knew how much I love school, like, how much and how important it truly, truly is to me. Like, being a teacher is ingrained in my body. It is all that, I mean, it's my favorite thing. It's what I live for. So, even though I know I love school, I feel like I'm really, really realizing the worth of school, or the worth of my water, since my well is dry, since I can't be there right now. So, that's just my little bit of thought on that. I'm so excited about seeing all your guys' answers. It's going to be amazing. So, if you did stuff on Google Docs, you need to submit it as soon as you're done. The review activities and the writing activities, submit them as soon as you're done. Everyone needs to take the AR quiz by, let me look at the date. Everyone should have the AR quiz done. Why am I looking in May? My goodness. By the 21st of April, the AR quiz should be taken. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to get these packets yet. I don't know if I'm going to ask you guys to mail them to me. I don't know if I'm going to just drive around and pick them up, or I'm going to talk to Mr. Tun about maybe having to drop off at school. I don't know. But congratulations. We did it. We made it through the book. Heck yes. Go us. I'm so proud of us. Happy e-learning.